Hello, I'd just like to run through a few key activities that need to be done for your end of financial year. So this includes making sure that we get all of our purchases into the system, and then we walk through all of the required depletions for any production activity that's been done but might have been missed in Abbl, and then we need to reconcile any pending deliveries or movements from your storage to your tap room, so that we can reconcile as much of the inventory as possible before we do a stock take. So the first thing to do is, when you log into Abbl, is to walk through to your purchase orders. So if you have any open purchase orders that were that passed their due date, and they're pending or partial, then you might want to check if you've got the invoice from the supplier and that the goods themselves have actually been received. So if they have, with the invoice in hand, we need to receive the goods into stock, and we need to make sure that we include freight on those invoices and ensure that the total matches the X tax total on the invoice that you've received. Next thing that we need to do is go to the production batch page, and we need to walk through any batches that haven't yet been completed, that have been packaged. So we can walk into each of these batches, and we can have a quick look at the status of all of these. So we can see that some of the inventory has been depleted correctly, but this particular one doesn't have any output. That's okay. What we can do is we can manually receipt goods against this batch, and we can do that through this process. If an item wasn't actually used, we can zero that out and we can save that off. You can also walk through and complete any of the packaging tasks if goods have been entered into stock. And then once you're complete, we just need to mark the status of that batch as complete. From there, we now need to look at all of our pending movements. So these might be deliveries that are overdue, or transfers from the warehouse to your tap room, but essentially we need to make sure that if there's anything that is outstanding, that they all need to be acknowledged first. So we can jump into here and we can check out some pending invoices. So we can go into this guy and we can say, yes, that one was actually delivered on that date, so we can automatically mark those goods as delivered. And we just do that for each of the items in that are open. So that's under inventory or movements, and we can see the list of everything there that might be open. If something is open but it doesn't need any action, we can just mark the status as complete, and then that will disappear from that list. But it's probably a good idea to walk through as many of these as possible and mark them as complete, so that they're removed from this list, and only actionable movements need any kind of work. So if you're doing a stock take today, everything before today's date, you just walk through and deal with these movements bit by bit. So you'll have to do a little bit of forensics if it is a little bit further past the date that the movement was supposed to be done. You might need to figure out whether that was actually delivered or moved. but you'll have to do it one by one. Once you've done that, we need to go in and do a stock take. So we go to the stock take page, we choose the location, and we can specify a date that the stock take was actually performed. From here we can add all of the items that are in stock, and we can walk through that list to get everything updated. So if there is any pending movements, you'll just get an alert, and it will show you which batches have outstanding records that might need to be reconciled. If all of these batches are completed, then they won't show up here, but you might need to do some work on these items in this list if you've forgotten anything in the previous steps. But you can walk through this list and get it updated now. So if you only had 25 kilos of ale malt, you just change the 25 bags of ale malt, you change the value. If you prefer to work in kilos, you can jump into each line item, specify the weight, and apply that. When you've finished updating this list, we can save that off, and we can select a reason for the adjustment and then save that off. So that should get your inventory completely up to date, as well as the status of the bulk of the work that needs to be done in Abbl. So if you find that you've got a long list of things that are overdue that might need working on, you might need to do this process a little bit more regularly. In our brewery, we do this once a month, so that there's usually only a few batches and a few pending invoices that really need to be marked out. So we try and keep our inventory as up to date as possible. I hope that helps, and if you've got any questions, just let me know.